Buenas noches. Creo que todavía quedan unas cuantas sillas y si alguien quiere pasar, pueden hacerlo. De verdad que gracias por venir. I was not expecting such a great turnout, so I'm really happy and thankful that many of you decided to show up today. We really had to just do it, right? I had the speakers here. So, how many here were for the first event? Raise your hand. Solid amount. Okay, so for those of you that were not here for the first event, I'm going to give you a quick overview. Many times in Puerto Rico, we hear about events and people talk and talk about what we need to do and what we need to do, but do we actually really make it happen? Does it really happen? So the idea of this event is not to talk and talk about what we think we need to do. It's really about show what's being done and then find ways to actually get it done here. And we're going to provide examples of that. During the first event, we brought Sean Sullivan from Airbnb. He talked about how Airbnb wants to automate tax collection for Puerto Rico apartment rentals. And after his talk, a couple of weeks later, the government came to an agreement with Airbnb. And now, how many people here rent an Airbnb? So you all got an email saying Airbnb is now going to automatically start collecting taxes for you, right? Isn't that great? You don't have to file any paperwork. It's actually being done easy for us. So that's a very successful story, and it's the idea of how digital governance makes our lives better. It makes things simpler. It makes things more efficient, and we're going to look to find ways to keep doing this. So the other speaker we brought was from the UK, from the Government Digital Service, Tom Loosemore. He was here, and he actually spoke about how to build a native digital government that can radically transform how services are delivered at better cost and with better quality. So during his presentation, Tom said three main things that they stuck with me for the remainder of the series. And they were to really initiate digital transformation in Puerto Rico. He would start with the following three things. Number one, strong mandate to challenge IT spend. Number two, better for less digital services that require radical new approaches and can start small and scale fast. And number three, to fix procurement. So we took those three recommendations and we said, let's build on them and let's actually provide examples and let's just show how we can actually make this happen. And we're going to have examples of all of these today. So for the first one, we basically put it out in a matrix and we said, okay, so the IT mandate, the strong IT mandate to challenge IT spend, Tom Loosemore recommended me that Dan Sheldon was the person in the UK responsible for challenging every single IT spend in the UK. He made a lot of enemies in the UK, but he also made a lot of new friends when he opened up procurement so much. So Tom said, if you're going to talk about challenging IT spend and fixing procurement, Dan Sheldon is the guy to bring here. So we brought Dan Sheldon here. Then Tom said, better for less digital services. You need examples that we can start small and can scale fast. Okay, so Tom recommended, come up with 2 or 3 pilot projects. Do them, and let's see if we can have them operating. So I actually started building one, and I'm going to show a video of it today. And a couple of other examples, for example, Renovaciones Online is probably the most scalable platform to initiate pilot projects at zero cost for the government, and we can test them out as well. So we're collaborating with him as well in some projects. So very exciting things we're going to show there. And then fixed procurement. I don't have a specific speaker on procurement, though Dan will talk a little bit about that. But for our next series, we're going to be elaborating more on procurement with members of the US Digital Service. Now, the IT mandate. We're not just bringing Dan to speak. We have a duty here to say, how do we actually make it happen to have the IT mandate here? And that really is one thing. We need to establish the CIO office by law. It needs to have legal structure, legal empowerment. I interviewed Governor Luis Fortuño a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him, do you consider one of your biggest failures the fact that you were not able to pass legislation to create the CIO office? And he said, absolutely. He wanted to do it, he couldn't. Then Alejandro campaigned for it, and he did the opposite. And, you know, we keep this is a big problem, we all know about it, and we keep not doing anything. So it just so happens that at the end of the month, in September, they're going to evaluate at the House of Representatives, La Cámara is going to evaluate PC 749, which is the project to create PRITs under law. So they're going to have vistas públicas, and the project is actually going to start getting it going. So, you know, aplauso. Let's, you know, we're going to make this law happen. I'm going to ask, I think the governor is doing the right thing, appointing a chief innovation officer and a chief information officer, but I think we need to make sure that we create this under law. You know, since 2008, we've been wanting it, enough messing around. It's time to actually do it. So, in Better for Less, we're going to show a little example. It's going to be a video about an app. It's called Guagua. It's a transportation service app that we're going to be showcasing. I've been working at it on a civic project at Piloto Hack Nights every Wednesday night with Edric. Edric is around here. Oh, there he is. Edric has been helping me on that project. And then, what about the fiscal board's needs? So after the Tom's 3 recommendations, I had the opportunity to meet with Natalie. And Natalie said, you know, those 3 recommendations are great, but I have a big need too. And I asked Natalie, so what is your need? Show me the data. You know, she has not seen the data that she needs to see. So there's a problem. Everybody knows that we have a problem with financial data, with any type of data. Nos acompaña el presidente del Colegio de CPA, Ramón Ponte. They had a seminar recently called Where is the Data? So everybody's talking about data. We need data. Where's the data? Okay, well, then we decided to bring in Maxim Perchersky. He's the chief data officer from San Diego. This is the best data guy I know. And he has one of the best data teams that I know. And Maxim is not just going to talk to you about how much he knows. He's actually going to show you what he did in 2 days because he's so good at data. And if we have people like him in our government, I think a lot of our data problems would be solved. So those are our speakers. We have a lot of stories to share. And I'm sure, I hope you're going to enjoy them as much as I've been enjoying putting it together. Thank you.